Following the cancellation of The Acolyte, the dozens of fans that actually like the show have been out there saying, please don't do this to us. This show was made for us. Yeah, it may have terrible writing. It may have characters that no one cares about, but it has diversity and representation, and quite frankly, that's all that we care about. Well, that didn't matter. Obviously, the show was a complete and total failure. But one of the things that was talked about before this series even came out was the timeline that it was set in. The Star Wars High Republic era. Now, of course, the High Republic had launched about 3 years earlier. This grand plan for Star Wars, Project Luminous, this secret project that ended up being a multimedia project, books and comic books, young adult novels, things like this, all geared towards a modern audience for Star Wars. Of course, they tore down, they desecrated, they threw in the trash the Star Wars expanded universe that had existed for decades before Disney bought Star Wars, and they were seeking to replace it with this, and it failed completely and utterly. The book sales, the comic book sales, absolutely tanked. It is an abject failure for Star Wars. And even the launch trailer, which people pointed out, the things that were most important to them, diversity and representation. Diversity was actually on their whiteboard 2 separate times. And many of the authors and architects just spoke about that. Their desire to put diversity into this world, to create a bunch of gay and non-binary characters. Well, you know what, Acolyte fans? I have some good news for you. If you wanted storytelling that was just focused on representation, the High Republic still got you covered because, yes, even though no one's buying them, they are still publishing some things. They had a 3-phase plan that they're still going forward with, even though the sales are tragically low. And one of the new comic books that's just been announced, yes, it features a lesbian wedding. You didn't get enough lesbians in The Acolyte. You didn't get enough lesbian Force Witches. Well, Acolyte fans, here's your chance to get more in Star Wars. Dark Horse announces the wedding of Lulu Talasola and Zeen Mrala in new The High Republic Adventures special. Now, these characters have been romantically involved for a little while. I can't say I've been following the High Republic too closely because, quite frankly, no one has. But if you're interested in what this actually is, right, December 18th from Dark Horse Comics is Star Wars High Republic Adventures, the wedding special one-shot featuring Lula and Zeen. If you were missing that lesbian action from The Acolyte, don't worry, you can go buy a comic book. Here's a couple covers, some variant covers, things like that. Oh, and by the way, did I mention that this adventure series, this comic book adventure series, which is written by Daniel Jose Alder, you know what the age group, the target age group that this is for? Would it surprise you if I said children? Because that's who it's for. Minimum age 9, maximum age 12. That's the recommended reading level. 9 to 12-year-olds is where this propaganda is supposed to go. And it's been quite some time since we talked about Daniel Jose Alder. He's a massive woke activist. He said from the very beginning that he was dedicated to pushing diversity representation, gay characters, queer characters, trans characters, non-binary characters. That's what he wanted to do with Star Wars, and that's what he's done with Star Wars. And here he is. Hop in, losers. We're getting gay married in the galaxy far, far away. With the one-shot covers by all these people and wedding dress designs by this person. Hashtag for light and life. I was just reminiscing about the meeting we had with Pablo Hidalgo before any of this was written when I laid out the whole arc for Lula and Zeen from their meeting on TriMet to the wedding issue. And I think that was the meeting where I mix up these characters, but one of them, used their latent force talents, which they were trying to cover up to save the other Jedi Padawan. That's where their little thing started. And I was nervous about what he'd say. And he was like, cool. I'm honestly still sad about The Acolyte being done, but I hope this wedding issue can lighten some of that for other folks as it has for me. Anyway, lesbians. Yes, that is what you're excited about, right? They're excited to push more propaganda in Star Wars towards children. That's what this entire thing is about. And we'll see if it continues after Phase 3. Quite frankly, it shouldn't. They tried to get this massive push for it. In the beginning, there were some people that were interested. I think over 100,000 books were sold for that first one. Was it Light of the Jedi? I think that was the first High Republic book that came out. Sold over 100,000 copies. Okay, not too shabby. And then it fell off a cliff. We're talking about books that are published and they're selling 3,000-4,000 copies out there, let alone the dismal comic book sales. But this is just more from Disney Star Wars. If you thought just because The Acolyte was done that they were going to stop focusing on the identity politics aspect, absolutely not. By the way, Just a shout out to Daniel Jose Older, Lucasfilm employee, Disney employee. His feed is just a mess. It's anti-Trump propaganda. It's pro-Palestine propaganda. And this Disney employee, interestingly enough, did retweet this from the Palestinian campaign for the academic cultural boycott of Israel. Just for the record, he retweeted this thread where they're calling for a boycott of the Snow White movie because Gal Gadot is involved. Daniel Jose Older did that. We deeply appreciate lead actor Rachel Zegler's publicly expressed support for Palestine, but that is not sufficient to undo the harm done by inclusion of Israel's cultural ambassador Gadot in the film. This is a thread that is calling for people to boycott Disney's Snow White, and even went one step further, just straight up retweeting boycott Snow White, a guy who's publishing shit for Lucasfilm, for Disney, who is advocating that people boycott a Disney product because Israel. Very fucking interesting. A Disney employee, Daniel Jose Alder, retweeted that. Might make a standalone video on that. I probably will, but, before he may go and undo that or somebody sees that, whatever, he gets in trouble. I just wanted to make sure that was documented for the record. But what do you guys think about the lesbian wedding targeted towards 9 to 12-year-olds for Disney Star Wars? This is the High Republic, so all those upset fans, they're sad the Acolyte won't come back, even though it was a gigantic piece of shit. At least you have some more queer content for Star Wars to look forward to. All the 3,000 people that might buy this. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.